The third quarter crime stats for 2024, Police Minister Senzo Mchunu said while there was a decrease in contact crimes against women, there is notable concern about reported cases of attempted murder of children between the ages of 0 and 17. Now let's discuss this with GBV Monitor South Africa Executive Director Omogolo Taunyane. Good morning and welcome to Newzroom Afrika.
Good morning, Masashaba. Good morning to your listeners.
Now, firstly, could you elaborate on the overall decrease in contact crimes against women, as noted by Minister Senzo Mchunu?
Thank you for that question. I think it's a very important one because what we often don't understand when we are, having this discussion about gender-based violence is that just because there is a decrease in the number of cases that are reported does not necessarily mean it is a reduction on the number of incidents that are occurring. So it speaks more about public trust that the citizenry has in our institutions in terms of whether to report or not. So I think that is always a very important one. So while we note that, yes, there is now being a reported decrease, that does not necessarily mean that there's a reduction on the crimes.
All right. Now, Minister Mchunu also expressed concern about the increase in attempted murder against children between the ages of 0 and 17 years old. Now, what insights can you share on this alarming trend?
We really do have a increasing trajectory in terms of the number of incidents that are being reported in terms of assault, GBH, and attempted murder. I think more than anything, what that tells us is that, we are having a serious policing issue, first of all, in terms of, apprehending these crimes at the right time before they escalate to assault, GBH. But it's a global trend that we are seeing in global South countries in Latin America, the rest of Africa, where we are seeing an increase of these particular crimes. It also indicates that this is a target age group. What is it that is happening with people of this particular age group that they are now being vulnerable to this particular crime? And it's something for us to look into as justice actors.
All right. Now, Ian Cameron, the DAMP, said that the decrease in some crime stats does not reflect the lived realities. So could you possibly maybe elaborate on the statement made by the DA that the decrease in some crime stats does not reflect lived realities?
Correct. I can't speak on behalf of the DA, but I think it goes back to the point that I was making, that it doesn't always reflect what is happening on the ground. We do know that already when statistics are being collected and being disseminated in this manner, that we have a huge underreporting culture where people simply just don't come forward to report the crimes. And that could be for a number of reasons. When we're looking at issues such as rape and domestic violence related crimes, there's a culture of shame. We have an issue where maybe certain communities don't have the confidence in the system being able to respond in a victim-centric manner. So, MP Cameron is correct to an extent to say that the stats don't always reflect what is happening on the ground, because we do know that we have a very high underreporting culture. So when you look at, the 11,000 rapes that have been reported, we need to understand that the numbers are probably higher in terms of what is happening in our communities.
Now, while we are on this, are there any specific types of crimes or areas where you think that the statistics may not be accurately captured or capturing the lived realities of communities?
I think when we start talking about what we are looking for in terms of increasing the quality of our data. When you look at categories such as assault GBH, we have 54,000 of those that have been reported. And out of that 54,000, it's 16,000 women and children who are being affected by these particular crimes. But we don't have the detail. We don't know whether this is a domestic violence related kind of crime. So I think the categorization and really starting to improve the data to understand that when we're saying assault GBH, what is this? Is this intimate partner violence? Is this, violence that has been meted out by family members? We do know that we have, this domestic violence where it is between family members. So I think that is what we need to start looking in detail into to say, what do these numbers actually mean? There's been a conversation about our kidnapping numbers, 4,000 kidnappings that are being reported. It would be interesting to find out of all these 4,000 kidnappings that are being reported, how many of these victims are being found and how many of the perpetrators are actually being brought to book. When we look at, this number, 4,000 kidnappings, 14,000 sex offenses, we need to start looking at exactly what do these numbers mean, because these are the counts. I think that's also what we don't know, is that these are the number of counts that have been brought to a police station. It is not necessarily the number of incidents that are also occurring.
Omogolo, what are the potential consequences of relying on incomplete or inaccurate crime statistics, and how can we mitigate these risks?
I think what SAPS is doing very, very well, and we must commend them, is that they publish this data 3 to 6 months. This is data of incidents that have occurred over a period of 3 to 6 months over the previous quarter. So it's a quite regular publication of the data, and that is always very helpful. But I think what we need to start doing at a much, bigger scale is to say, what is it that the data is telling us about police response? What areas of transformation and state transformation need to be happening? So it's all good and well to say, these are the incidents, this is what has happened. But what are, the preventative measures to mitigate the ongoing occurrence of these particular crimes? I think that's what the data should be helping us do, is for us to find out from the ministry and from SAPS, great, we know that this is what is happening, but what is it that you are doing as an institution proactively to ensure that, number one, these incidents are reported and they are also brought to book and prevented before they actually occur? That would be far more helpful than what we are having now of just telling us what is happening.